Hi, so today is a part three of my storytelling, and so in this story, I get out, I find a typewriter in the antique store, and then I type in it, and then and then I try sending the note to someone in a faraway land so they can get me back home. And then I so then I then get a toaster, and then I try because most of the doors are locked, and so then I break a window with it, and then I get out. Then right after that, the store opens, and then so I don't have to pay for it. I run away, and then I go into this industrial factory that makes a lot of I think it mostly makes dishes like plates, bowls, and little silverware. So those stuff that goes in your kitchen. It's that kind of industrial factory. So I um yeah. So I quickly go in there and then jump up, because there's a because there's a conveyor belt. But then I see that there's this trash compactor. It's kind of like a shark's mouth because it's like chomping down. Then I jump off the side, and then I I try and see how I get up up there onto the hatch to jump out. So then I grab these chains off a table, and then hold on to one end, and then throw the other ends onto these hooks, and then try and climb up there. So then, yeah, it's almost like when you're hiking on a mountain, and then it's a way more dangerous. Because there is some like millions of trash matters and shredders. So then I punch in the hole in the window, and then jump out. But then I land in the desert. But then I see some movement. But then I realize I didn't land on the ground in the desert. I landed on a train in the desert. So then um, I get inside the train through a hatch in the roof, the emergency exit. But then it sends the emergency alarm off, and then I find out that whenever that happens, then automatically goes into heist mode. So it turned out that the Mona Lisa was in there, but no one actually stole it. But because of that, they decided to have a heist mode. That was actually whenever someone got in, whenever it was open, whenever someone got in through the top. Someone came out of that bridge exit when they were in the train, and then they got out of the train. That one activated, but then if they were on the roof and then they got in through into the train through there, then it would activate. It's weird, but that's just how the story wants to go. I don't even know if this really happened, but it might have. Should have, it might have. And then And I get in, and then I wonder what's going on. So then I hide in the engine, and then someone reaches in there, and then I do camouflage mode. And then I really jump out, and then I go into the corners of the ceiling, like the corners of the wall. And so then I'm like hiding in there, like with the luggage and the train. And then I climb to a different part and then fall out there. And it turns out that when that happened, it was so loud that it actually shook the one of the parts off. Like one of the parts of the train was literally was literally shaken off of the train. So that and then I see my buddy and on the other side, and then another part of that half of the train, there's a guy. And then in another compartment of the train, there's a pal. And then another compartment, there's a friend. And then there's a bunch of buddies, friends, pals, and guys, and dudes, and men. But then I realized that I'm on a bridge going on top of a river, an icy one, with a current faster than the mantis shrimps bite force. Wait, does it bite or sting? I don't know. But I think it was the current was about that fast, so I'll be a goner if also like and the worst part was that I had to jump onto so like it was slowly getting further and further apart. So if I wanted to get into that part with all my pals, guys, buddies, some friends, dudes, and men, then I had no choice but to jump in there. So and then I jump and just barely get into that compartment of the train. And then I meet all those people. But then I saw another guy, and then it turns out he knows the guy who. It turns out he knows a guy who knew the 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 guy who originally stole the Mona Lisa, making it famous, and then it was on that train. It's mind blowing to think about. And then I almost lit off the edge and then fell into the river. I didn't. And then I simply got into that our other part of the train. And I wondered how it was still going if no one was flying that part of the train. I was like, wait a second, how are we on this part of the train? No one's piloting it. But then it turned out, from just how long the train had been going that quickly for, it just kept going. It was almost like the force. It wasn't exactly like centrifugal force. It was more about the force of how long it had been going for. And it was slowly. It just gained the momentum, and all these nurses just pushed it in there to the point where even when it snapped off, it was still going. So we had the chance of falling into the river at any moment. So then I got to the back, and then and so then I pushed it. Like I ran with my legs and I pushed the back of the train, and then so then I asked them if they had any grease, and then they said yes, but not that much. And then I spit into the bucket, and then I dumped it everywhere on the bottom half of the train. I thought that might ruin it, but then it didn't. Instead, it made it so slippery that it almost it did crash into the other part of the train that it got detached. But then it did get reattached. But then we almost fell into the river. But then it turned out that the chain that I had, I guess, fell out of my pocket. Yeah, I guess part of the chain was attached from the other when I came out of the factory. So then I took it, and then I guess it fell out when I was somewhere when I was in there because it latched onto the railing, and then we were saved. We climbed back up at the risk of it and collapsing at any moment. So yeah, we got back up. There were a lot of harmonicas in there, as it seemed. But there wasn't a heist, but there almost was. Make it be more of a train robbery, because there were a few. Because it hadn't gotten burglars in the past, but all the stuff. But all the stuff that they had ever stolen, it was recollected in the bomb luggage trunks that were never ended up actually being used for luggage. Pretty convenient, and still, it was a good end to that part of the story. Okay, stay tuned for part 4.